I am back, and this video is about quartiles and quintiles, but more about quartiles because you'll see them a lot more in the GRE. This entire video is going to be for GRE students only, not for GMAT students, because quartiles don't turn up in the GMAT. So what is a quartile? And do we prefer to be in the first quartile or the fourth quartile? A quartile is 25% of a population. And the first quartile, sometimes known as Q1, is the lowest 25% of a population. So if you got a 25th percentile score, putting you in Q1 at the top of the first quartile, you are in the bottom quarter of the population. If on the other hand you're in the fourth quartile, you are in the top 25% of the population. So fourth quartile, really good at the top, first quartile, not so good at the bottom. And when I was studying for the GRE, I always used to sometimes forget, is the fourth quartile the good one or the first quartile? And now you know, and you can remember that for your test. Notice so far, I've been talking about percentages of the population that you're better than or below. Think of a quartile as just a very specific percentile. If I told you that you were in the 37th percentile, that means your score or your attribute is better than 37% of people and worse than 63% of people. Quartiles are very similar. If you are in the first quartile, you are in that bottom 25%, and at least 75% of people are higher than you. Notice I'm talking about percentages, not absolute amounts. So from quartiles, we can't necessarily know about the actual scores on a test, or height, or weight, or whatever else the attribute is. And the GRE will often test if you understand the difference between the percentage that you are versus the absolute score that you've got. Let's give you a quick example. Imagine that there's a test that is scored out of a 340, and I tell you that I got a 99th percentile score and person B got a 19th percentile score. How much more did I score than the other person? That was actually a trick question because there's no way of working it out. Just because I'm in the 99th percentile doesn't mean I got 99% on the test. It just means I beat 99% of other people. And the person in the 19th percentile beat 19% of other people. It doesn't mean that they got 19% on the test. It's conceivable that our scores are actually really quite close, and there's just a fine margin from being in the 19th percentile versus being in the 99th percentile. But what if I asked you what percentage of students scored somewhere in between my score and person B's score? That's a question we can answer, because if I'm in the 99th percentile, I scored better than 99% of students. And if someone else, person B, is in the 19th percentile, they scored better than 19% of students. So there are 80% of the students that are in between our two scores. So we can answer that percentage question, just not the actual number, the actual score. And again, the GRE will test if you understand that difference. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I haven't talked about quintiles yet. Quintiles are very similar to quartiles, except much more rare on the GRE. A quintile essentially breaks down a population into groups of 20%, where a quartile breaks it down into groups of 25%. For example, if I say that you're in the first quintile, that means you're in the bottom 20%. If I say that you're in the second quintile, you've beaten between 20 and 40% of the population, somewhere in there. If I say you're in the fifth quintile, that's the place to be. That means you've beaten at least 80% of the other students or the other scores, whatever the attribute is. So don't be put off by that weird word quintile. It comes from Latin, I believe, meaning 5. So it breaks up the population into groups of 5 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, whereas a quartile breaks it into quarters, into 4, 25%, 50, 75%, and 100. There are two more mind-blowing concepts that I want you to master in the space of this video, and that's interquartile range and how to do a box and whisker or box plot diagram. And we're going to use some real sets of numbers to work each of these out. But first, what is an interquartile range? It's the difference between the third quartile score and the first quartile score. In other words, the 75th percentile and the 25th percentile. To work out the interquartile range, you work out the 75th percentile, the score, which beat 75% of people. You work out the 25th percentile, the score that beat 25% of people only, and then minus those two to get the interquartile range. Now you might be thinking to yourself, what's the point of this measurement? Like, who invented this? It's just a way to take out the extremes, or the outliers, if you will. Just the range of values that are roughly in the middle, as opposed to the extreme range, which is the very biggest minus the very smallest. The interquartile range is a bit more specific, focusing only on the 75th percentile and the 25th percentile and the difference between those. But how do we actually work out the 75th percentile and the 25th percentile? In practice, how is it done? People know how to work out the median, and if you don't, I have another video on that, but they find the third quartile, the 75th percentile, and the first quartile much harder to work out. So how do we actually work it out? Here is our first real example. What is the interquartile range of the first 8 multiples of 7? We're going to do this question together. And first, I want you to write out the first 8 multiples of 7, ideally within about 15 to 20 seconds. You should have the numbers that you can see on the screen. And again, if I ask you to find the median, that should be okay, right? It's halfway between that 4th number and the 5th number, halfway between 28 and 35. To find halfway between them, by the way, you can add them up and divide by 2, but you should get 31.5 as the median. But what about finding that first quartile? Here is the secret, the best bit of the entire video. Look at the 4 numbers to the left, the 4 lower numbers. If you find the median of those 4 lower numbers, you have just found the first quartile, Q1. That's the secret. You find the median of the first half of your group. Let's work that out together, and then I'm going to task you with finding Q3, the third quartile or 75th percentile. What's the median of those first 4 numbers? 7, 14, 21, and 28. Well, again, we get the middle two, 14 and 21, and find halfway between them. You can do that by adding them up and dividing by 2, but you should get 17.5. That is Q1, our first quartile. And we work that out by finding the median of the lower half of our group. We'll do the next bit together if it sounds too hard, but if you want to pause the video, you want to try and work out that third quartile, Q3, the 75th percentile of that set of numbers. To do that, we find the median of the 4 biggest numbers, the top half of the group. Again, I've done another video on medians, but basically when there's an even number of numbers, we're going to have to find halfway between the 2 middle numbers, which in this case would be 42 and 49. Halfway between those two would, I believe, be 45.5. So that's our Q3, our 75th percentile, our third quartile. And did you remember what interquartile range means and what we have to do? We have to do Q3 minus Q1, or in this case, 45.5 minus 17.5, which you can do in the calculator, but I believe that gives us 28. That is our interquartile range. How amazing was that? I know you can't believe I'm covering all of this in one video, but I now want to quickly show you what a box and whisker or a box plot diagram looks like. This does come up occasionally in the GRE. The diagram on screen has all the labels that you're going to have to memorize. And that little line on the far right is the biggest value in the set. Then we have Q1, the first quartile, and I've shown you the method for working that out. And on the right, at the left and right side of the box I'm talking about, is Q3. That's the 75th percentile, and I've shown you how to work that out. And the line in the middle of the box is the median. And again, if you don't know how to work that out, you might have seen it through this video or through another video that I've done. And that's basically it. It's nothing in addition to what we've already done. It's just a practice of working out Q1, Q3, the median, and just writing down simply the minimum variable and the maximum variable. So how can they test this? Well, they might give you a box and whisker or box plot diagram and then give you 5 data sets, and your job would be to work out which data set matches the diagram. So that's what we're going to do. Look at the 5 data sets you can see on screen and tell me which one corresponds to the box plot diagram that you can also see on screen. It's a tougher question, maybe taking a couple of minutes, so pause the video and have a go at this question, which brings together everything that we've learned today. Did you notice from the box plot diagram that the minimum value is 4? And therefore we're looking for the data set that has a smallest value of 4. Problem is, all of them do, so that doesn't really help. That maximum value of 12 eliminates answer C, which has a maximum value of 11. So we're down to 4 options left. Time to focus on the median. The median from the box plot is 9, and that is not the case for datasets A and D. In dataset A, the middle number is 8, the median is 8, and the median is supposed to be 9 from the box plot diagram, so we eliminate A. The middle number in dataset D is 6, and again it's supposed to be 9, so we can eliminate that. We're down to 2 options, B and E. Let's deploy our amazing new quartile knowledge. How do we find Q1, the first quartile? We find the median of the lower half of the numbers. For dataset B, that means finding the median of the numbers 4 and 8. That gives us 6, but the Q1 from the box plot is 5, so that can't be right. So we know the answer has to be E, but let's check and find the Q1 of E. Excluding that middle number, the median, we have the 3 smaller numbers, the lower half, of 4, 5, and 7. I made this one extra hard because this time we don't have a neat lower set of numbers and a higher set of numbers. You must eliminate that median to see what the lower half of numbers are and the upper half of numbers are. If we eliminate that 9, we can see the remaining numbers on the lower side are 4, 5, and 7, which indeed have a median of 5. So our Q1 is 5. Just for completion, let's work out the Q3 of dataset E. Again, not including the median, our upper half set of numbers are 10, 10, and 12, whose median would be 10, which is the Q3 from the box plot. So we have the right data set. I hope you enjoyed that difficult question because it brought together every facet of knowledge you need to know for quartiles, percentiles, and for a box and whisker diagram, including interquartile range. Quite a long video, but I really hope it helped. And as always, you'd expect me to say this, but do like the video and leave a comment because it helps get the content out there to a wide audience. Thank you again. I am glad to be back.